This video is to help alto and Bari saxophone players with their end-of-year audition requirements. Just to recap, recording number 1 is your major scale and your chromatic scale. For you guys, that's going to be concert F major. That starts on your D note, D natural. Then you're going to play a chromatic scale, and that again starts on your D note. Recording number 2 is the prepared piece. You must perform all measures up to 120 beats per minute, hopefully, by the end of May. Make sure you pay attention to key, accidentals, unusual rhythms, articulations, dynamic style, etc. Some of those can be found on page 48. Otherwise, if you're not sure about something, just go back and study book 1. Just go flip back through those old songs. You will find syncopation. You will find triplets somewhere in there. A couple of notes over on the right-hand side of your screen. Remember, this is only 6th and 7th grade students. 8th graders, you are being excused from this because we're not doing exams how we traditionally do. Point number 2, scales can be sent separately in different recordings. I'm perfectly fine with receiving 3 different recordings from you saxophone players, one for the major, one for the chromatic, and one for the prepared piece. Traditionally in class, the scales are back to back because you walk into a room and you record on the recorder. But you're doing this at home, take your time, do a couple tries of the major scale, do a couple tries of the chromatic scale, send me your best one. Number 4, scales are now going to be due by May 10th. I don't need as much time to grade these, and I don't have as much on my plate since we've gone digital. It's really what I create for you. That's the environment we have. So I'm going to push the date back a little bit, give you till May 10th. You'll have these videos to practice along with to help you, and you can get into SmartMusic as well. And number 5, the prepared piece is now due by May 24th, and that will give me just that last week of class time to finish grading and placing everybody for next year. So now let's get into your practice session. Let's take a look at a few items on the screen in SmartMusic before we get started. Now I have this set for guitar just for demonstration purposes. This is not any of your scales. This is just an example. So when you pull up any song or these scales, you're automatically set on the track section that has accompaniment, mic part, the metronome. There is no accompaniment. There's no background music. So that is grayed out. You can't do it right now. Here's the tempo, and you can change that up and down. You can reset it back to the default. There's a tuner built in, so if your mic is working, you can tune yourself with your instrument. You can toggle this on and off if you would like it out of your way. This button right here checks your microphone settings. This plays the track in front of you. This records you playing along and gives you feedback, which I have just done here. And once you've recorded yourself the first time, then this button will light up with the blue play button and the little red record button. And this is where you can play it back and you can listen to yourself perform. And you can see the red, yellow, and green feedback. Now, if I was going to submit this as a pass off, I would come over here to my takes. And you can see right here, here's the one I just did. And I got a 95% on it. You have the options to delete it or save it to your computer, and this is the area. Assessment, you can turn that off so it's less distracting if that bothers you. You can adjust the tolerance. So, oh look, I made a 100, yay. JK, I made a 95. The loop feature is really handy. You can set it to, like a lot of students need help with the arpeggio. So you can set it to loop measures 3 and 4. And if I have this turned on with the orange, then it'll do another 4 count click off in between. And speaking of, this is your count off. You can actually make your count off longer or shorter. I tried to put it at 2 and didn't have enough time to put a baritone up to my face between hitting the play button and starting. I was thinking Someone who plays bassoon or tuba may benefit from moving it to 6 or 8 counts. So they have plenty of time to put the horn up. All right, over here in display, you can highlight the measure if you want. I have it set to default to highlight when you do a pass off for me. You have different beats. So beat is going to be like when I conduct 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. It's going to hit on the beat. Flow is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to see that blue line just pass through each beat. The note cursor is going to go 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1. You're going to see it hit every note, or you can turn it off. It's up to you. This is important. If I play guitar and I want to play the scale that starts on my F, I'm clicking that. Or if I want to start on my scale that starts on A flat with 4 flats in the key, I'm going to start there. This does not mean concert pitch. So whatever starting note you need, you're going to go click on it. So if I'm thinking about flute players, they start on C. Okay, there's the flute scale. If I think about saxophone players, you're starting on your D note. Regardless of the saxophone you play, you're starting on your D note. So whatever your first note is of your scale, you just need to look for that note and click the right one. So I'll go back to tracks. Okay, Bari and alto saxophones. We're looking at your scales and your prepared piece. Remember that you are starting on your D note. So anytime you come over here, you need to make sure you're on the D note. You have 2 sharps in the key signature. That's what you're looking for. It's your concert F, but it starts on your D note. So make sure that you tongue up and slur down on all of your songs like we've worked on in school. These do not have any slur markings. Also, you may need to practice way slower than what I'm showing you today. This is a good goal for middle school players, but some of you may be way off the mark right now. Understand this is a springtime goal every year. We are trying this again, and then you'll audition next year and we're trying it again. And then that sets you up for good success with me and with Mr. Barrow. When you move on to the high school band, it sets you up for success in the fall when it's time to audition for the all-county band. And so this is just all part of the process. So let's try a 1-octave major scale in 80 beats per minute. Try it a little bit faster now, 80 beats per minute. Beats per minute. Remember, we've talked in class at times, and we've marked our papers that should be a half note at the end. I don't need to hear a whole note. So when you send me the scales, just cut that off, let it be a half note, not a whole note. That'll save you some time on your recording process. All right, let's move on to the 2-octave scale where my advanced band students are working on their first palm key up here at the top on that D note. So let's try 80 beats per minute. And again, remember, tongue up, slur down. And if you need to go slower outside of this video, you can slow the YouTube video down, or you could use your own metronome and just try it at 60 or 70 beats per minute and go a little slower. Whatever you need to make this work so that you get quality over quantity. That's really what I want. I would take a slightly slower pass off than a really, really choppy, messy one. Okay, so there's your major scales, a little bit of practice, and let's move on to the chromatic scale, and I'm going to remember to turn it down a little bit. This part is biting. The audio playback is a little bit harsh. So we're going to do 80 beats per minute. I want to point out they put it in 3/4 time. You can think however you want to, but they did that so that the last note ends on the downbeat of the next measure. Interesting choice. I dig it. And also on the way up, you're looking at sharps, and on the way down, mostly flats. Compared to the other instruments, they tend to see the natural note on the way up, but as saxophone players, you're in a unique position where you guys are, your key signature is always much different than where the rest of the band is. And so you guys have some natural notes here. Now, if it's better for you to look at your chromatic fingering chart instead and not look at this right now, that's fine. Especially with the 2-octave one, I messed up playing through it on clarinet. I bumbled through it a little bit, but if I close my eyes and play, I do better. So that's up to you. So here's 1-octave chromatic scale. Remember again, tongue up and slur down when we play through a chromatic scale as well. Okay, and then a little bit faster now. I don't know that many students will play it this fast, and I'm okay with that. But this is a good goal for middle school students to be able to play the 8th notes of the chromatic scale comparable to the 8th notes in their major scale, to be able to play it with the same kind of bounce on the 8th note. So here's 100 beats per minute. And for you more advanced players who are working on or have been working on a 2-octave scale, here's what that looks like. And like I said, it looks a little daunting. If you would rather, if you can close your eyes and do it like I do, or if you look at your fingering chart instead, by all means do that. You may want to practice this if you're in SmartMusic along the way and get better, well versed at looking at this. It's important to me that you guys are able to read in harmonics. You may want to practice along with this one, add it to your repertoire to feel comfortable reading sharps and flats, being able to read in harmonics. That's important. For example, being able to read that a G sharp is going to be the same fingering as A flat. Those are in harmonic notes, so it sounds the same to our ears. It is the same fingering, but it looks different on paper. So right here you have a G sharp, and then over here you have the corresponding A flat. You have a B sharp right here. That's going to be the same as C natural. So if you look chromatically, B natural in the key signature, and B sharp, go to the next fingering. Well, that would be C natural. I'm going to flip my finger to my middle finger and play C natural, and then open fingering C sharp. And the same thing over here, B natural. And I'm going to flip to my middle finger for C natural, and then to open C sharp. So even here, it shows you, it doesn't even show you the enharmonic. It just shows you that, hey, that's a C, ETW. So let's try the 2-octave at 80 beats per minute. Okay, a little faster now, 90 beats per minute. 100 beats per minute. Okay, and then let's move on to the end of your audition piece. I'm going to let it play out at 110 beats per minute and then up to tempo at 120 beats per minute. And on all of these, that last half note sounds a little clipped. 1 triplet 3-4 off. Sounds a little clipped, so just make sure you play a full value half note at the end of that. All right, up to tempo 120 beats per minute. All right, I hope that helps you guys out, make it a little more clear what you should be shooting for, how you should be practicing, what the website looks like, all that. And good luck on your end of your audition. Bye, guys.